Today, I'm doing something a little different. I'm traveling from Istanbul to Izmir, but not by plane or car, and not even by direct train. This journey starts in Istanbul, goes across the Sea of Marmara on a high-speed ferry, includes an overnight stay in Bandirma, and ends with the classic Turkish railway ride into Izmir's historic Basmane station. And along the way, a small act of kindness that completely changed my trip for the better. Want to see it all unfold? Come along! Hi and welcome to Istanbul and to the Yenikapi Travel Center, a place where journeys intersect from all over the city. If you're heading to the ferry for Bandirma, like I am today, whether you're arriving from the Aegean side or deep within the European suburbs, this is where you'll eventually merge. I arrived here with the Marmaray, Istanbul's incredible cross-city line that dives under the Bosphorus. The whole system will be shown properly in a future video, but for now, just look at this space. Wide, beautiful, joining old and new, with people heading in all directions, including some, like me, heading to the sea. It's quite easy. Just follow the signs and you're in your way to the ferry terminal. Let's go! Let's head from the Istanbul rails to the Marmara Sea. This is a trip in stages and it starts here. The way to the ferry terminal takes less than 15 minutes walking through quiet alleys with the usual and famous Istanbul cats, of course. After less than a 15-minute walk, we arrive at the Yenikapi ferry terminal, where Ido runs the services across the Marmara. The terminal is full of small shops and eateries with convenient terraces, and inevitably, cats everywhere. I got here early, so let's have a slow walk inside while it's still quiet. First things first, check in. My mobile ticket is swapped for a proper boarding pass at the counter. Can't lose this. Ticket done, I wander the terminal a bit. But honestly, it's nicer outside. Sweets, tea, and the light of the late afternoon. A very Turkish way to pass the time. As the sun drops, passengers for several ferries arrive. Cats and seagulls go about their business, and the Turkish flag flies from the highest mast around. It's a beautiful day in Istanbul. My ferry is now arriving, so back inside to the lounge where Bandirma passengers are called. There's a big crowd, but it all runs smoothly. No frantic rush because every passenger has an assigned seat, so no need to sprint for space. And here we are aboard. There's an external rack for luggage on deck, though there's some room inside as well, which I'll show you in a minute. The ferry crossing will take almost 3 hours, and as the sun slides toward the horizon, it's time to relax and enjoy the crossing. This is the old way to travel from Istanbul to Izmir. Nowadays, since the opening of the Osman Gazi road bridge over the Gulf of Izmir in 2016, not many people use this option anymore, although it's still the most relaxing way to travel between the two cities. One practical note: unfortunately, passengers must remain inside for the crossing, so it's not possible to enjoy this sea breeze forever. As I settle into the ferry, this is the interior, basic and bright. There's even a small bar offering snacks and drinks, so I grab an orange juice to keep me company for the next few hours. The seats are comfortable enough for a crossing like this, with adequate legroom. There's this very convenient table with emergency instructions in alternate seats. If you're carrying luggage, there are these stacks near some doors. Everything seems to work just fine, with passengers leaving their luggage without much fuss. As we near the end of the trip, I go back to explore the upper deck and will exit from there. After almost 3 hours, we arrive in Bandirma at 10:20 p.m. with the night well established in the sky. Disembarking is quick and as calm as the boarding back in Istanbul. My hotel is very conveniently right in front of the terminal and the train station, which is next door. I'll show it tomorrow when coming back to take the train to Izmir. This is home for the night. It's nothing too fancy, but comfortable and with the most perfect location for my needs. The kindness of the people here will end up saving tomorrow's trip entirely, but this is for tomorrow. Good night! Good morning from Bandirma. I'm on my way to the station now. It's literally a 2-minute walk from my hotel, right beside the ferry terminal. And before we get there, I want to share something. Last night when I arrived, absolutely everything around here was closed. No shops, no restaurants, nothing. And this was a problem because today's train doesn't carry a restaurant car and leaves too early for anything to be open in the morning. But the hotel staff would not let me starve on this journey. They actually went out of their way to provide me with a meal for lunch today. Honestly, their kindness made my entire trip so much more pleasant, and I thank deeply those involved for it. It's one of those small travel moments that reminds you how much a simple gesture can change your day, or in this case, your whole railway adventure. And here we are, Bandira Sehir station. As you can probably tell, it looks like it's undergoing reconstruction. Or at least that it was undergoing reconstruction at some point, but the works seem to have paused. Does anyone know what's the story here? Please let me know in the comments below. This station was built in 1969 together with the port of Bandirma. Today, only the 2 daily trains to Izmir and their return services call here. Next to the station, since a plinthad steam locomotive, Turkish Railways 45051, built by Nohab in 1935. A reminder of a different era of travel. Over there, 2 very small rail inspection vehicles, which, when needed, are manually carted onto the track on their way they go. And here comes my train for today's trip to Izmir, traveling through the landscapes of Western Anatolia. At the end, a Class E68000 electric locomotive, holding a consist of what TCDD calls Pullman cars of the TVS 2000 family. The TVS 2000 is the domestic Turkish intercity car that defined rail travel in Turkey from the 1990s onwards. Built by Tuvasash between 1993 and 2005, over 300 TVS 2000 cars were manufactured to replace the country's aging fleet and restore confidence in rail travel, from which 176 Pullmans. In order to offer a good rolling quality, they use Y32 bogies, the same used in the very successful French Corail cars. TVS 2000 is actually a family of vehicles. Besides the Pullman cars, there are couchette cars, sleeping cars, dining cars, and even generator cars introduced later. The idea was to provide a complete modern rolling stock solution for overnight and intercity services. Time to board. These Pullman cars have a classic vibe and they feel like stepping back into the 1990s, but in a good way. Here's my seat, but before settling in though, let's go to the rear of the train, because our departure from Bandirma is a little unusual, let's say. Trains here actually leave the station backwards. From Bandira Sehir to Bandira Gar, the line forms a sort of stub, so services start by reversing for a couple of minutes until reaching the mainline station. Only after reaching Bandira Gar do we finally head in the correct direction toward Izmir. It's quirky, but also strangely fun, and it gives us great views from the rear of the train. After passing the tunnel under the city, we cross neighborhoods until we're finally out of Bandirma, with the urban scenery giving way to open land and wide views. And here's our first stop of the day, Kuşcenneti. The name means bird paradise, and the station serves the nearby Kuşcenneti National Park, an important bird sanctuary right on the shores of Lake Manias. A quick pause, and off we go again across Western Anatolia. Let's go now for a quick train tour before I get comfortable. The cars are in a 1+2 layout with roomy seats, which I'll show in detail in a minute, and generous windows that are perfect for daytime journeys. There are overhead racks for luggage and stacks near the doors. Overall, this is a very practical setup for intercity travel. And while we walk through the train, a small historical note. For decades, Bandirma has been more than a port. It was the transfer point between ferries from Istanbul and trains heading across Western Anatolia toward the south. This ferry-to-rail link shaped travel and trade in the region, with people and goods flowing across the Marmara Sea and immediately onto trains south and west. But things changed. After the opening of the road bridge over the Gulf of Izmir, this old sea rail connection lost much of its importance. The tight coordination between ferries and trains partially faded, and what we have today is, in a way, a nostalgic continuation of a logistical habit that once formed the easiest and most reliable connection between Istanbul and Izmir. Time now for today's seat tour. The seats are comfortable with a reasonable recline, and the leg room is quite generous. There's also a small table, a seat pocket, a 220-volt power socket, and a very nice blind that keeps out the sun while still letting us see outside. There are also coat hangers on the side. One thing these seats don't have is a bin, but there are small ones located near the doors. Meanwhile, the trip progresses through small stations and stretches of countryside. And for a change of scenery and quietness, I decide to move to the rear car. It's quieter back here, and of course, it comes with the rear-facing views we all enjoy so much. My new seat has a larger table and a different style pocket, but otherwise is the same setup as the previous one. As we continue, we are now arriving into Balikesir, an important junction where the line from Bandirma meets the route coming from Ankara. On the platform, there's an old manual rail vehicle that looks straight out of a Western movie. Once everyone is back on board, we depart again, continuing our journey toward Izmir. From here, the journey settles into its own calm rhythm, ideal for relaxation. I'll allow you to enjoy it peacefully, but we'll be back before the stop in Kirkagac, where we'll pass the train in the opposite direction. And here we are arriving in Kirkagac, a town best known across Turkey for something surprisingly aromatic. Its famous Kirkagac melons. They've been grown here for generations and are considered some of the best in the country. Its importance for us, though, is the meet with the train running in the opposite direction. And here it comes. A little late, but nothing too serious. And off we go again, rolling deeper into the Turkish countryside. This stretch of the route is very peaceful, making it a pleasure to travel by train. It's the perfect moment for lunch, and this is where the kindness of the hotel staff makes itself felt. Without their help, this meal wouldn't have been possible, so once again, a heartfelt thank you. As you see, your kind gesture is traveling with me all the way to Izmir. Outside, the scenery and the stations continue to glide by. As the trip evolves, at a certain point, we see an electrified double track joining the line we're traveling on. That's the sign that we're approaching Menemen and entering the İzmir suburban rail network, operated under the İZBAN brand. We stop here briefly, and before long, we're back on our way. From here, the scenery shifts noticeably. Gone are the wide-open plains and the mountains of Western Anatolia. In their place, a more urban rhythm takes over, with commuter stations appearing one after another. And crossing through the northern suburbs of Izmir, we arrive at our last stop of the day, Sigli. This is one of Izmir's major districts, known for its industrial zone, the nearby bird sanctuary, and the Izmir Wildlife Park. Now we truly feel that we're inside the city of Izmir. When the Aegean Sea appears on the right-hand side of the train, brings with it the unmistakable sign that this journey is nearing its end. A beautiful welcome to Izmir and the perfect cue to wrap up today's trip. I genuinely enjoyed traveling this route the way it's been done for decades. And even today, it remains an excellent way to make the journey between Istanbul and Izmir. The relaxed pace invites you to slow down, look outside, and enjoy a peaceful moment as the landscapes of Western Turkey glide by. And, of course, the people at the Villa Marina Hotel in Bandirma. Their kindness won't be forgotten. They had no idea I was filming a video, let alone that I'd mentioned the hotel by name, and yet they went far out of their way to help me have a much more pleasant trip. Moments like that are what make travel truly special. And on this note, a small suggestion. TCDD, wouldn't this train be a great candidate for a restaurant car? It's a long trip right during breakfast and lunchtime. A dining option would turn an already pleasant journey into an even better one. Thanks for riding with me on today's journey all the way to the end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share and drop a comment below. It really helps the channel grow and keeps these rail adventures rolling, always with a bit of history and technology. Thanks for coming along, and I'll see you next week.